I understand it from like a high level, but maybe if you could like explain what quiet quitting is.
I guess I was doing it without realizing it. I didn't know there was a name for it. But basically it's just acting your wage. Like even if you're getting paid a lot, like you don't put all your energy into work because you have other things that you could be focused on. Like especially people in tech. I mean, people are going to reach out to you on LinkedIn all the time.
Welcome to this episode of Tech is the New Black. This is your source to discover experts in the technology space who are giving exclusive tips and secrets, all meant to help you break into tech, scale in this industry, and also start your own tech company. Y'all, very excited about our guest that we have today. I was actually recommended by someone. I saw him online being a tech influencer, very similar to myself, but many more followers on TikTok than I have. So I'm low-key hating. But no, I love what he's doing though in this space. So look, he actually made a transfer from an industry that's a very beloved industry, that being the medical space, and made a transition at a very pivotal point. We're going to talk about that, but made that transition to get into tech. So we're going to talk about that, talk about what he's currently been doing within tech, and talk about like what the next plans are. And of course, giving y'all some really cool information, cool tips, cool news, all the good stuff that you come here for. That being said, as always, we got to put some respect on our guest's name by reading off the bio. So that way we all know who it is that we're talking to. Y'all, so the guest that we have today is Antrell. Antrell is from Conyers, Georgia, and graduated with a bachelor's degree from Georgia State University in 2019. He currently works as a project test manager, delivery lead at a top bank, and began his career within project management less than 2 years ago. In 2020, during the pandemic, Antrell dropped out of medical school to pursue a tech career with just a biology degree, which became the best decision of his life. Y'all, give a silent, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you listening on Spotify, whatever, make sure you give a little clap for the guest Antrell that we have on today. Antrell, thank you for being here.
Yeah, and thank you for the introduction. I think that covers pretty much where my journey has been.
Oh yeah,
like the last couple of years. Yes, it's not. I don't think there's too much you can say because it's been such a short period of time, but so much has happened in like these past couple of years. So I'm excited to be able to share it with everybody. I've been doing so through my platform on TikTok, but I think there's a lot more to be said. So
yeah, there's a lot to be said, especially in terms of like your journey, like just what you've done. So let's jump into it. So first off, I'm very familiar with product in tech. I've had a guest on before who's in product management. What is the difference, or is there a difference with project management in tech, or doing technology within project management versus product management?
Yes and no. It's very similar. Like product managers are also project managers.
Okay.
Project managers aren't product managers, if that makes sense.
Okay, rewind. Say that one more time.
So product managers are also project managers, but project managers aren't product managers.
Ooh, okay. Break that down for us.
Yeah, so basically, like product managers, they manage the creation of a product from beginning to end. And there's different types of product managers, but project managers aren't doing that. It's pretty much just we have a beginning and an end. A beginning and an end goal, but it's not the delivery of a product at the end of that.
Okay.
So for me as a project test manager, I manage the testing of software as we implement it, but internally. So I'm not delivering any products. We're not creating.
Okay, so this isn't going out to customers. This is
it's our customer. I mean, it's like, so for example, a banking application, that software that's involved in that, it's pretty much like we're updating that. So like, say for example, there's a day where Bank of America says, your app doesn't work from this time to that time. Before all of that happened, we tested that in our own environment, and then we actually implemented. Okay. So me personally, I'm managing the team that's doing it, but I'm not actually doing the testing myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
There's no product involved. So
okay. So and correct me if I'm not understanding. So are you managing a team of QA testers?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
A team of QA testers and also their managers, but there's another project manager on my team. Yeah. If that makes sense. And I'm also involved with them in such a way where they're managing the project as a whole, but I'm just managing the testing aspects, the technical side of it. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Okay, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay, all right. I thought I was crazy, but I'm there with you. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's totally cool. So you made a transition. You were in med school.
Yeah.
you made a transition from med school to tech. Like, what happened and why? Like, what happened to you that you were like, yo, because I'm sure you didn't have hazards, but I'm gonna do med school. So I'm sure you maybe had a plan out, something you were into. What happened that had you make that change?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult question to answer, to be honest with you, because I honestly didn't expect myself to end up in the field that I'm in.
Yeah.
But I had always wanted to go to med school. That was like my goal my entire life. That was what my familial expectations were. And so I kept going through with it. Like in undergrad, I wanted to change my major. I didn't want to get a biology degree at some point when I had realized it. I think that was just a matter of maturing. And so I was like, I'm still going to do it. Ended up actually going to medical school. And once I actually got there, I was like, wow, it was $50,000 for one semester. And I was like, wow. I was like, I'm about to get in all this debt.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was like, I'm about to get in all this debt. And then at the end of the day, I'm ended up being unhappy. It wasn't gonna be worth it for me at the end of the day. Like, I love the fact that people are becoming physicians for good reasons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But for me, it would have been, I wouldn't have been doing it for the right reasons, because people are doing it because they have true passion for wanting to help people. Of course, I love to be able to help people, but I don't like nasty stuff. I'm gonna be with you. I can't do it. Like, and I knew that when people would try to play like videos of somebody's, those weird
Dr. Pimple Popper or something like that.
Stuff, and I cannot do it. So I was like, this isn't gonna work. And so, right after that though, I actually ended up getting a job at a consulting firm in a very entry level position as an executive assistant, which, isn't, it wasn't tech related, but I was involved in a lot of the project management aspects and consulting. Yeah. So it's crazy how good that looked on my resume though, because I didn't expect to be able to scale up so quickly. Like, I definitely job hopped. I job hopped like crazy.
Okay, you've job hopped in tech.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
The position I'm in now, I just got into this one like 4 months ago. And the job prior to that, I was only there for 6 months.
Okay, cool.
And then prior to that, I was only there for like 7 months.
So how many either tech companies and or, because you can do a tech job at a non-tech company, and you could work at a tech company and not do a tech job. Right. But so how many of either tech company or tech role have you been in since I guess what was that, 3 years ago or
so I've been at 4 companies total, but 2 of those were tech jobs. So this job and my previous job, and I was a project manager in both of them. So
okay, cool. Yeah. So let's talk numbers. And you can be as vague as you want to be or as specific as you want to be. But ballpark range, you stepping into the industry, and then like if you can speak to every time you scale, and you can still keep it at ballpark range as to what you scaled to.
So when I first started working in corporate, which wasn't a tech job, I was only making like $65,000. Okay. And remind you, to me, I was like, this is okay.
Yeah, that's still
I was like, this is okay, because I just dropped out of school. Before that, I had worked at Apple in the Apple store. So I was like,
so that's a nice leap.
Yeah, I was like, now I actually have a corporate job, and I'm being applauded. Like, you got out the Apple store, because people get stuck there. Like, people get comfortable because it's Apple.
A lot of people message me, and they're like, yeah, I work in tech. And I'm like, what do you do? They're like, I'm technical support. I'm like, no, that's not tech.
It's not. So that's why I don't even consider that tech experience, but that also helped me a lot on my resume. Yeah. And then, so after that, I worked at another company, which wasn't a tech company either. And they only got like a $10,000 raise. So I went from like 65 to like 75. And then when I got my first project manager role at the last company, which was a fintech company, so that was my first tech job.
Okay, there we go.
I was around 90, so I still wasn't in the 100K range. Then when I got this job, I was shocked. This was the most money I've ever made. And I think like even in my entire family, nobody's ever made like this much money.
Come on.
And it's crazy, right? I'm 25, but I make 175.
Woo!
Yeah, 175,000, and I literally did it with a biology degree. I haven't finished my master's yet. So
that's man, you double, literally double with Whoa!
I know.
Just with the jump from one. That's a crazy.
And so that's also the reason why I tell people I really like the banking technical industry, because they pay.
Yeah, fintech is.
They pay crazy. Like, I mean, they have our money. Like, think about it.
It's finance and it's tech.
So And I knew it was kind of for me because I did work in a finance role between my first job and the third one. And I was like, finance is kind of cool, but I don't like numbers. I don't like math. I don't like anything like that. But I do like technical, the technical aspects of it. So I kind of got into it that way. And yeah, I got rich. Like, I don't know how, but it's been good.
Yeah,
it's crazy because I really was, just to be honest, I was really depressed for a while after dropping out because I was like, did I just ruin my life? Like, I was really afraid that I had just like dropped the ball on myself. Like I was, but it's crazy because like if I would have stayed in med school, none of these opportunities would have presented themselves. And
you're still so early in the industry.
Yeah, I would have actually became like a resident physician when I was in my 30s. And I would have still been, because
you still be getting educated.
Yeah, I would still be getting educated, and you don't even make more than like $80,000 right out of med school. So I would have still been broke. That's crazy, right?
That junk is so wild. You know what's crazy? Like so I feel like we're two different sides of the coin in certain components because you were in med school and then you dropped out or you left, you transitioned into tech. You're like, okay, let me make a different move. And then you were regretting when you first kind of got into the industry and started stepping into the industry. At first you started regretting. You're like, oh man, maybe I should have did this, that. Now you're on the other side where you're like, oh my God, like, man, it's so good for me. It's funny is that before I started thinking or started working to get in tech, I was Lyft driving. I was like doing really bad at that point in time in my life. And unfortunately, even though I was Lyft driving and doing all this other stuff, I was still making $55,000, $60,000, which is more than a median income, which is sad because I felt very broke at that time. Yeah. So it's really sad that my version of feeling broke is like, man, that's better than the majority of people. But anyway, it's interesting that when I remember during that time of my life, I kept thinking, man, I wish I had went to med school. I wish I had have done this. And of course, now I'm on the other side of it, and I'm so grateful I didn't do that. So grateful.
I feel like, when people go to med school or like they become lawyers and, you're in school for a long time. I mean, there's a lot of job security within that too. Yeah. So that's something that
and those are industries we respect. Like, of course, we're just talking money. We're not saying those industries have less value.
Exactly.
But it's just like, let's keep it real. Like, man, all that debt and all that time out of your life is crazy.
Yeah. So, it took a lot for me to, because similar to you, when I was making like 60,000, I felt really, really broke. Yeah. Like I felt really broke. So, I had to scale up quickly. I just had to figure out how to do it, and it just took, less than 2 years, honestly.
Yeah, man. Check you out. Check you out, man. It wasn't bad. That's fire, man. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be able to.
I almost feel like Drink Champs where everybody start clapping. Right. Yeah. No, that's super cool. All right, so you've been in this space now. Man, it's still very early on in the space. So again, sky's the limit basically. But one of the things, you being an influencer, so you're doing well. You could just work your job. Yeah. Why are you spending your time, your energy on telling people about tech?
You would be really surprised how many people have. I know a lot of people want to go into tech. Yeah. But you'll be really surprised how many people are pursuing medical school or like that's what their plans are and they don't want to be doing it. And so, like most of the people who are actually, who actually follow me and are actually engaged in my content, they're in the exact same position that I was in at some point. And so I'm happy to be able to tell them how I did it. Although the way I did it may not work for everybody. It takes nothing for me to just take, some time to just tell people how I did it.
Yeah, that's dope.
So I don't really mind. And just to be honest, there's also a lot of money in it. Like there's a lot of money in content creation. Like, yes, I actually, I used to have like social anxiety. So I never would want to speak on camera, anything like that. So then I found a reason to, and I was like, wow, this really took me out of my shell too. So it was like, I feel like I'm able to benefit other people just by giving them what they need to figure out where they want to go in their career. But then for me, this has really like opened up doors for me and taken me out of my shell. You wouldn't know the old me versus no, you wouldn't. No, I was a totally different person.
Look, if you knew Antrell 2-3 years ago, you don't know Antrell.
Nah, and all my friends know that too. They know that too. Yeah. Like, we can go out somewhere and they're like, wow, that's crazy because he's not the same guy. And a lot of that is just based off the fact that I stop trying to pursue something that I really wasn't passionate about.
Yeah.
That was making me depressed, and then really figuring, you know, things out as I went along.
That's super cool. So you mentioned content creation, and this is actually a huge pivot, but I'm down for it if you want to go this direction. So you mentioned content creation, which, you know, you're killing it. I see your stuff on social, but you mentioned also, like, hey, there's also money in this. So one, it's to educate people, but there's money in this. So, and again, share whatever you feel comfortable with sharing.
Yeah.
Are you like working with any boot camps or programs, like with any affiliate stuff?
I am.
You don't have to say their name, because if they ain't pay you to shout them out, you ain't gotta say it.
Yeah,
but nevertheless, but go ahead.
Yeah, I am. Majority of it just comes from creating a 30-second video.
Yeah.
Now with the engagement that I do have, it's easy for me to get $1,000 for one video. And, you know, when I first started doing it, I was charging like maybe $300-$400, and I was getting requests to do it all the time. And I had to start declining people's asks for me to post something, because they're not trying to pay enough. And there's a lot of people who are willing to. Like, I got the largest deal I got was the other day. It was for 4 videos, and it was $4,000.
Yes, come on.
And so that was when I was like, yeah, these rates they're gonna keep going up.
Yeah, exactly. And especially as your platform and stuff grows.
Yeah, like you have like 100-something K on Instagram, so I already know you're getting paid. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
Yeah, I already know you're getting paid. So it's crazy, because one of the boot camps that reached out to me, they used you as an example.
Oh,
they did.
I already know who you're talking about.
They did.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not gonna be the same. Like, I'm not even gonna try this out. So I actually did make a video for them too, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, so we can talk offline about that, and I'll give you like a lot of the real, the good, the bad, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But no, this is dope. I love it, because one of the things, it's so funny, because some people try to expose me who don't follow or don't see, and they'll tell people in the comments or when I go live, they're like, oh, he's telling you about these boot camps because they're paying him, and I'm like, like, first off, I believe in them. It's legit. I did a boot camp. And beyond that, why am I going to, I'm going to hook people up. I'm going to tell my friends, I'm going to put my people on, but it's like, why spend so much of your own time? Right. Now, it's not about you helping people. It's about the fact that, and this is for everybody listening and watching, understand that, yes, you want to help people, but be very careful to understand the power of your voice and your platform. Even if you don't have, like, 30,000 plus followers on TikTok, like Antra, even if you don't have, the followers that I have on Instagram, understand your platform is your platform. If you're going to be telling people about certain programs, those programs are making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands over time, millions of dollars off of your marketing and your advertisement. If they already have it set up, that if you mention them, if you market them, if they already have it in their budget to give you something for, one, them getting paid for people doing their program, and two, people being able to break into tech, it only makes sense that you accept that. Like, don't allow anyone to get a bunch of free marketing or free advertisement off the back of something that you've built. So, but it's always funny to me, because people sometimes would be like, oh, he's just, and I'm like, I say this openly. Like, I don't hide this junk. It's not a weird, like.
It's very obvious. Like, if I tell you to click on a link in my bio, like, come on, like, it's not, I have a promo code. Like, come on. Like,
what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
The same thing happens to me. Like, if I post a video and then somebody goes to actually apply for it, and then they come back and say, like, it was actually, like a couple $1,000s or something. I'm like, well, did you think it was going to be free because I talked about it? But my thing is too, though, like some of the programs I talk about, I don't have partnerships with them. Some of them are just like, I know they're actually good programs. Like a lot of the more well-known ones, I talk about them and don't get paid by that. But I think it's important to still like tell people about them. Yeah,
definitely.
So I think mine is definitely a mixture of both. Like, I get paid by majority of them, but a lot of them I don't. Yeah, but
a lot of them you just giving information, you're giving value.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I mean,
and the cool thing about that is, even on the back end, up front, obviously you're not getting paid. Like for the ones that you shout out or you mentioned, you're not getting paid immediately, but you're still being paid because at the end of the day, one, you're adding value to your community, your audience, and they're grateful for that, so they're going to continue to follow. They're going to recommend you to other people, and as that happens, your platform grows more and more to where now you can demand more from some of these other programs, and now eventually those other programs that you are shouting out will like eventually find out about you and want to work with you. So I'm sure it'll like work out either way.
I just find this to be like a really, I think for me, I don't want to be completely reliant on my job. And I think I love having a job. Like, I don't think I'll ever get to a point where I would be like, I'm just going to create content. Yeah. That's just not who I am. I like stability.
Yeah, I'm with that. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stability in creating content too, though. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I like the check. And then it's like, why not just put the check on top of it? Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. And life has been good.
That's good. Hey, come on, Future. Life is good.
Yeah, it's been working out really well for me. It takes a lot for me to be consistent with like social media creation though. Like there are months of time where I don't post anything, and then I'll come back. You know, you got to get things ramped back up. Like it takes a lot of energy. Like especially like when you work a 8 to 5 job, like to then make, even though the videos are 30 seconds, it still takes a lot more energy than, you know,
I mean, it takes a lot of like mental energy of you creatively, even if you're going through audios and you have a bunch of audio saved. Okay, I have the audio saved, but what's the creative idea behind this video? Exactly. It's just that does take a lot. That does. Do you I guess probably last thing about this, then we'll pivot. Do you batch record, or do you not. Okay, cool. All right, so one thing I'm gonna give you, just one creator to another. Man, batch recording will save you so much energy.
I've heard that so many times, but I think for me, I get like ideas on the fly. Yeah, and it's kind of, a lot of times I'll get an idea and I'll forget about it. Then I had to get better at like putting things down in my notes too, but. Yeah, I usually don't have multiple at once. That's why I usually like pop up and then I might disappear for a couple weeks and then I'll pop back up because I'll just get an idea. But I think batch recording would be helpful because I definitely go long periods. Like if I was posting consistently as like you do, I would be doing better. I would say like TikTok. I don't really do Instagram like that, but TikTok, like it's all about being consistent. Yeah,
that's my struggle. I honestly have to pivot and focus more on TikTok than Instagram because I post on TikTok, but I'll take something off Instagram, throw it on TikTok, and won't pay attention to TikTok. And it's like, okay, I have to really put some respect on TikTok's name because TikTok realized I'm just treating it like the little sideline hoe. It's like, nah, you treat me like a $2 hoe.
They literally do. It's crazy. Like I just feel like, you know, TikTok, especially now when it comes to like tech, it's like a search engine. Like people are on there all day, like basically trying to figure out how they can make this pivot or how they can do this or that. And TikTok is where they are. Like people are stuck on TikTok for hours a day. Yeah. And obviously people are still on Instagram and still engaging. But it's a lot of chatter. Now this isn't gonna happen like this year or next year, but it's a lot of chatter that it's like, yo, Instagram has lost it. And Instagram does not respect their users' opinions.
It's wild.
They don't, because we've been telling them for years, like, stop making all these changes. We don't like it. And they keep making the changes. I don't know who works for them in that department.
I wonder if the fall started happening once the founders of the founders of Instagram left. And because obviously Facebook bought them. Yeah. And then the founders stayed there for a while, but then at some point, I think it was like 2 years ago or something, a lot of the leadership and the people who founded it left. They're like, yeah, we don't support this, we don't believe this no more, and they left. And I wonder if it's just strange to me. It's extremely strange to me. But at the same time, though, I mean, everyone else seems to be doing it. Like YouTube is doing it with their shorts. They're trying to get in the game, or they're in the game now too. Yeah. And I don't know if you ever post like any shorts, but
I don't. I actually just found out about shorts a couple days ago.
When I tell you, so what we did when we first, the first a couple weeks of us posting content from Tech is the New Black, we were doing a bit of both, where we would have 3-minute clips from some of the guests. We would post it on YouTube. As just a regular YouTube post, but we also had a miniaturized version, basically a short, like a TikTok version. Yeah, the same stuff I've been posting on Instagram. And you take that, post it on as a short, and it's the same thing. It's just a shorter version. The shorts are doing significantly better, and when I say significantly better, I mean like quadruple the numbers.
So is it like a timeline, like people scroll, or is it like people actually go to the page? Like, where are people
So
seeing the shorts?
It's both. So you can see the shorts, like the shorts has its own section on YouTube. Like if you're scrolling through the timeline in the middle, the shorts go horizontal. But once you click on it, it's same thing as Instagram, TikTok, where automatically it's vertical. And they say that's one of the reasons why shorts have more views than if you're watching. Because, you know, on YouTube, you don't watch a video unless you click on that video and watch it.
Right.
But just like with TikTok and Reels, every time you just scroll on it, the video is going to play. So it allows your views and stuff to go up crazy.
That's good to know.
So yeah, it's really interesting, but man, that's definitely something in that.
Yeah, YouTube is never gonna fall off.
No, YouTube is popping.
They have it figured out. I don't know how, but they got it figured out.
They got it on lock. I mean, who's really gonna compete with YouTube?
Nobody. YouTube. Nah, TikTok thinks they are. You know, because you could do like 30-minute videos on TikTok now.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, 30-minute videos.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're gonna take out YouTube.
Nah.
Even Eric shaking his head. Nah, they ain't. Nah,
that's a far-fetched idea.
Yeah, because you watching movies on YouTube. I've ordered and bought movies on YouTube.
Yeah, because like YouTube TV.
Yeah,
I'm learning something new. Shit.
Yeah, it's real. It's wild out here. So really interesting just what these different tech companies are doing. And it's so funny. One of the things that I really enjoy about being in tech and talking about tech is how, so all of the conversations we're having were not on the agenda for us to talk about. Yeah. But it's so funny how we can go on all these tangents and we're still talking about tech. It just shows like how broad this industry is, whether we're talking from like a job standpoint, whether we're talking from like people doing startups, starting their own company, or if we're talking about just being a user. We can just talk about social media and just the way everybody's moving and you doing this and and it's all still like circulated around tech. Yo, what's good, family? If you're tuning into this and you're wondering, yo, how do I get a job like that in tech? We've got good news for you because we've just partnered with a tech bootcamp called General Assembly that'll help you get a job like this or a variety of others, no matter where you live at in the world. We're talking product management, UX, UI design, programming or development, data science, data analytics, and a variety of others. Use the link in our description, and not only will you be able to do your first class for free, but for those who decide to sign up with the program, you'll get a $200 discount off. Make sure that you let us know which course you chose and keep us posted on your journey in tech. So really cool. And that's one of the reasons why we kind of do what we do. And I'm sure a lot of your audience and people that are going to step into this industry are going to find a lot of value and really kind of look back and thank you for some of the things that you shared that have educated them. But one of the things that's happening in this space right now, so you're killing it, doing numbers, ain't been in this industry long
at all.
Killing the game. But also we see in this industry that there's something going on where many people are doing what's called quiet quitting, where they are leaving a company. And so, you know, I actually, if you can explain this, because you might have a better grasp. I understand it from like a high level, but maybe if you could like explain what quiet quitting is.
Yeah, so I actually did I spoke on this in an article recently too. And that was actually my first time hearing about it. Like I guess I was doing it without realizing it. I didn't know there was a name for it. But basically it's just acting your wage. Like even if you're getting paid a lot, like you don't put all your energy into work because you have other things that you could be focused on. I think putting all of your energy into work is where people do go wrong, and then they end up say like, you know, anything could happen where you lose your job and you have nothing else that you're even remotely able to go or fall back on because you put all of your energy into that. So like, I think it's just people really not going above and beyond because we don't have to anymore. We have we have so many options. Yeah. Like especially people in tech. I mean, people are going to reach out to you on LinkedIn all the time asking if you want a job. Yeah,
it definitely is a huge employee market right now.
It is.
It's wild.
It is. So that's why I think that a lot of people are not interested in trying to basically do the most to try to get on their manager's like good side, how people used to do, especially being in the office. People like you could really tell who like the most favorable people were by the people who were doing the most, and they would get the promotions, right? Yeah. But now it's like we don't really care, especially in the tech industry, because we're all already getting paid a lot anyway. And like I said, our options are so endless.
And then two, you'll probably end up making more by leaving the company.
You do.
Or not necessarily leaving, but by moving to another company. So it's like
100%.
One person can feel as if one person can think like, okay, let me do the most so that way my manager likes me and that way I get this promotion, and the promotion or the raise might be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, which is still really good. It's better than most industries. But then another person's like, okay, I'm just gonna do my job. I'm going to do what I'm paid to do. I'm going to hit the metrics I'm supposed to hit. And instead of me feeling like I'm having to either kiss up to my manager, or instead of me feeling as if I have to do something else, oh, there's another company that's messaging me that's offering me $40,000 or $50,000.
Literally.
More. And so it's like, it kind of makes sense why people would, you know, I mean, shoot, I've jumped companies. I've definitely done it. And I've mentioned to people how dope it is in this industry that you can do that, the opportunity that's here. And shouts out to the companies I've worked at, because the companies that I've worked at, they definitely, at least into my face, supported, like me, the management team supported me making the decision and showed a lot of love. So with quiet quitting, it's not just people leaving a company and saying, hey, I'm about to transition to this other company. It's also people that are not even telling their management they're leaving. They just quietly leave and go to another company.
So quiet quitting isn't really leaving your job.
Okay.
It's like just not doing more than what's in the description of your job.
Okay, yeah.
So like you get off at 5, then you clock out at 5, or if you don't clock out, you close your laptop at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
You take all your breaks. You just don't do the most. And then if they ask you to take on another project, you say no, because why? I'm doing what I need to do. Why would I take on someone else's work? Yeah. So it's just about literally just not doing more than you should be doing. Because I mean, of course, you know, a lot of managers, like a lot of companies, they try to put on as much onto one person as they can, because then you can hire less people, save money. Especially like startup companies, they want you to work your ass off. Literally.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we had a guest on who he's at a startup and he's doing, like, he's a product manager. But he listed, like, when I asked him, I was like, oh, what, you know, what does the product manager do? He listed 3 or 4 roles, and I'm listening, and I'm like, that's not product manager. No. But then as we talked, find out, oh, he's at a startup, and they're having him do a lot of different things. Now, his situation is pretty unique because, one, the startup is first to market, so they're disrupt, they're doing some crazy stuff, and 2, he's senior in the company, and also it's a tech market that he has background in, not in tech, but he has a lot of experience. So basically, it's an opportunity where it's like, okay, this could end up working out very well for you, type of thing. Yeah, it could.
I mean, at startups though, I think it's kind of worth it to put in that extra effort, because you might end up being the next CIO or something. Yeah, so it's worth it to put in that effort at a startup. Before a big tech company, you get hired into those roles. A lot of those aren't it may be back in the day. But nowadays, people aren't really working up to those types of roles anymore. Like, they're just hiring people from outside who have been CIOs before, who have been CEOs before, who have
for those C-suite roles, they're not letting moving people
so
up.
It's like, I'm not doing the most to sit here and get a 10% raise. I'll work my job the way, you know, I'm supposed to, and I'm not gonna slack off, but I'm just doing.
But I'm not gonna do. I'm gonna do what you pay me to do.
And we're salaried, so I'm not getting paid. I'm getting paid for 40 hours a week. I'm not working 50, 60 hours.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, 'cause I'm since I guess I'm base and commission, and so okay, that makes perfect sense, because I see a direct correlation behind the work that I put in.
Yeah, see, I don't. Yeah. There's no correlation.
Literally, if I wasn't base and commission, I would probably be quiet quitting.
I think then your definition of quiet quitting is going to be different, because you're actually getting compensated for the difference or the additional time and effort that you're putting in. I don't.
Yeah, that's
I get
real.
compensated for the 8 hours of a day, Monday through Friday. Yeah, that's it. So
then why you doing more?
Yeah, I'm not doing,
especially if it ain't translating to no.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. When I worked at the consulting firm, my first corporate job, those people, the principals and things like that, they would work like 80 hours a week. Now, remind you, they were getting paid like $300,000-$400,000 for their jobs. Like, those principals at those big 3 consulting firms, they get paid a lot. Yeah, but they were working like 80 hours a week, but and like, traveling, flying back and forth. No, they're not, and a lot of them would end up going through divorces and like losing their families because they got so dedicated to their work. Yeah, they had no idea what quiet quitting was. That was the previous generation. Our generation is not like that.
Stuff is so different. Different, and I definitely believe that the whole pandemic just
Oh yeah, the whole work from home thing too.
It's weird. Like I've heard different people speak to how we haven't even fully seen the effects of it. Like it's going to be something where we're not going to know until 5 or 10 years from now how it's affected the way because the market has shifted so much just in the past couple of years. It's wild.
I think one of the major like effects that this is going to have on everybody is just like the inability to really work with people in person.
Yeah.
Because like for me, you know, we're having like I lead all these calls every day that have like 30, 40 people in them. And then I think like, wow, if they make me come to the office, do I have to sit in a conference room and say this in front of all these people? There's no way I would be able to do that. No way. I can do it on a camera or do it, you know, to a laptop, but in person, no. I've never had to do that because like I got into corporate, you know, like when COVID happened. So like anytime I ended up having to do these things, it was never in person, ever.
That's wild.
I know.
I can only imagine what that's like because even though, you know, I've worked in like, not real corporate, but I've worked in like semi-corporate stuff way before COVID. Just going that while that I did at the height of everything has like, I still feel like I'm adjusting with being around people and being in front of people. And so, you know, working remote and then living at a place and like I don't know exactly where you live, but it's like I'm sure we stay in like similar places, a high rise, mid rise type of thing where it's like you basically are insulated. You can either DoorDash, Uber Eats, you could do all of that stuff. Everything else is like in a nearby walking, you know, distance type of thing. So it's like that even more so increases the feeling of like, okay, I'm not really around a lot of people.
Right.
And so it's tough. So when you work remote, and two, you're like because of your income, you're able to live in a certain type of place where you don't necessarily have to constantly be around different people.
I have everything I need at home. My DoorDash account looks crazy. I would say I'm at a point now where it's like I kind of want to go into office, you know, eventually. But I'm like, nah, maybe I'll just sign up for like one of those office spaces where I can just go in, you know, mix and mingle with people. But I don't think I want to be around my coworkers. Like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. But I mean, we'll see how that goes.
So interesting. Yeah. Even with the conversations of quiet quitting, we see so many different tech companies, larger companies, different FANG companies where they're demanding people come back into office.
Pretty much all of them, right?
And it's so funny. I remember when I first saw it, and of course I'm just watching. I was like, I didn't really care because at the time, the company that I was at, Dialpad, shouts out to Dialpad, they are a direct competitor to Zoom. So the company in and of itself is a type of company where you can work from home because they have a meetings platform. And so we all drink our own Kool-Aid. We literally, entire team, everybody in the company use the platform. So all of us are working remote. So it wasn't really a thought that I'm going to have to go back into the office. But I just remember at first seeing, okay, all of these different FANG companies are demanding people come back into the office. At first, I thought people were going to buckle. I thought, oh, yeah, people are going to buckle. They're going to go back to the office. They're complaining they're going to go back in. And people haven't. No. And now those companies are buckling. Even Apple is having a buckle. Yeah. You know, all the demands they're making. And a report came out recently. You know, of course, Tim Cook, a few months ago, same thing. He said, look, if everyone has to return back into the office. And then they ended up losing one of their executives. An executive at Apple left because he said, no, this is stupid. I'm not. Why am I going back into the office?
Yeah, I think like with today's technology, we all kind of realize we don't need to be in our office. I think they want to hold on to it. I mean, it would be crazy if everybody decided, you know, we don't need these office spaces. Like, what are all these buildings for?
Why do you think So if you had to theorize, I have a couple theories, but I want to know some of yours first. If you had to theorize, why do you believe many of these companies that don't need us back in the office are so adamant about us being back in the office?
Quiet quitting. We're not. I'm for me in particular, I'm more productive at home. Like when I used to be in the office, I would be sitting downstairs with like my coworker besties all the time, like we would have happy hours all the time, all these things. And then at home,
that's nice.
Yeah, at home we don't have those things if you think about it. So I also at the same time though, I think that all these companies are aware of all these like trends that are going around where people, you know, they're talking about taking naps at work. I'm one of those people who talk about it.
I've seen it.
Yeah. And
woo child.
Yeah. So like people, I think that these companies really want us to be back so they can, for one, watch us work, but for two, they actually believe that it will increase our productivity and they just want us to be, you know, together. I've also heard some other theories too, something about like real estate and like taxes, all of these things about like, I've heard a lot of different theories on why, and I'm sure the executives actually know the reason why, but
they all talk about it
on why for sure.
It honestly is most likely probably a combination of all of it. Maybe different companies care about different things. One of the theories that I have, and this isn't one I came up with, someone shared this actually in my comments, and I was like, oh, that's actually a really good theory. They were talking about how, it's going back to real estate. It's like, okay, where are most offices at, especially tech company offices? They're downtown.
Yeah.
And during the day, what businesses need, like the people that are eating at the restaurants, the people that are shopping in the stores, doing everything, that live downtown, or the people that are doing that are typically people that are working downtown. And so when you have all of these businesses that are emptied out because people are now working from home who mainly live in the suburbs, now you have it to where those different restaurants, those different stores nearby, they've lost so much business. They lost it during the pandemic, and they were holding on by a thread, and then they were thinking, oh, once everything goes back to normal, we're going to get this business. But now it's like things have gone semi back to normal, but people aren't back in those offices.
Right.
So it's like one of those things where those businesses might be complaining to politicians that, hey, our businesses are going out, and if we're going out of business, we have to let people go. If we have to let people go, that's, it's like you follow the money, where it's like, okay, that hurts that state because now that state is getting less tax money from those businesses. So now those politicians in that state might really put a strain on those bigger businesses and say, hey, y'all really got to get your employees and people back in the office. And so, but again, it's a theory.
I think that's valid. I think that's valid though, because I mean, I can even see I think a lot of the reasons why there were so many small businesses that did go out of business during COVID was that exact reason. All the people who used to be there are no longer there. My first job, and I used to go to Georgia State, so everything downtown in that area, like when we would walk on campus or when I was at that company before COVID hit, all of those businesses were packed with people, like wearing their work clothes, like their suits. Everybody had the little lanyard hanging off their waist and things like that. Then all those people, disappeared. And a lot of those businesses and restaurants disappeared with those people. They're no longer there. So there's a lot of empty restaurants down there now, or places that are opening up now because the ones who have been there for a decade or a long time are no longer there. They couldn't survive it. They were like mom and pop shops. I get that. Yeah. I feel bad for them in that sense, but I'm not going, man. I'm not doing it.
Man, it's tough. I mean, because like you said, like you empathize, you can feel it for them, but it's like, man, like, am I going to now be made uncomfortable just because especially because it's like, okay, you're one person. Yeah. So if you're like, I'm gonna go back to the office just so on my lunch break I can go to that nearby restaurant. Right. It's like you as one person are not gonna keep that business like afloat.
Exactly.
Type of thing. And so so I mean it makes complete sense. That's really interesting. Yeah, so thank you for unpacking even earlier, kind of unpacking more about what quiet quitting is, because I was kind of like wrestling with that in my head, where I was like, okay, well, on one end I get it. I try to see things from both angles. I don't want to say I'm unbiased, because I think most people think they're unbiased, and it's like, we're all biased to some degree.
For sure.
But it's like just kind of like wrestling with it, like, okay, but the way you kind of unpack that further, where it's like, okay, no, it's not necessarily that people are literally quitting their job. They're just quitting the notion of, I'm going to go above and beyond, even though I'm not going to get paid any more money for it.
Exactly.
It's like, that makes perfect sense.
The term itself is confusing because it has the word quitting in it.
Yeah.
So I've even saying things about that, like people have to clarify that, because that makes it sound like we're really talking about quitting. But yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. No, that's
not doing the most anymore.
That's super cool. So do you have any, I want to kind of not necessarily like mention what company you work at or anything, but with your initial ideas of, oh, hey, I'm going to be in med school, or I'm in med school, and you leaving, have you had any thoughts about, you're in fintech now, have you thought about being, let me look into like med tech or health tech or something? No. Or are you good with fintech?
I actually like fintech.
Yeah.
It was at one point where I really wanted to work at like one of the big tech companies like Google or Apple or something too, and actually lost interest in wanting to do that. Like, I mean, I think it sounds great. It looks great. Everybody wants to do it. But I actually really like working at banks. And it's not just the money part of it. It's really cool to see like what technical aspects to go into how they're handling our money.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to me. I don't like med tech. I know there's a lot of money in medical device sales. And
there's money in fintech too.
Yeah, but there's a lot of money in fintech. So, I mean, I think I at this point, I'm really just looking towards continuing to work myself up in the world of fintech. I'm trying not to try to branch out too much into other things because I already have too much on my plate. So I'm like, I'll just stick to where I'm at now. This is working well.
So you're working in fintech. It's working well. And you're a content creator, tech influencer, all of that. And that's something that you're considering like being a bit more like on top of. Yeah. So are those really the two things you're like, okay, I'm just going to focus on these things, or is there something else outside of your 9 to 5 that you're interested in?
I also do, I do consulting in the realm of, helping people figure out what they want to do with their careers. Yeah. I don't know how big I want to take that just yet. Yeah. Only because I don't want to rip people off. Yeah. It's
so tough because it's like you want to really point people in the right direction, but it's like, people are even confused about what they want to do. So being another person and you trying to help them, it's such a tough thing.
It is tough because like a lot of the times when I do consultations, people really have no idea what they're even interested in. And I'm kind of like, why wouldn't you like think
you should do some type of research.
You just got on the phone and just started talking.
Point me in the right direction. What should I do?
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't tell you what you're interested in because then you're going to be like I was going to med school. You're going to hate it. So if you go into a specific realm of tech, and that's what I always say, I'm like, tech is not, it's so broad. Like, so
people think it's just,
things.
I want to work in tech.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to do?
I think that's the problem when people are applying for jobs too. Like when they apply for jobs, they're only applying for jobs at big tech companies. There are like hundreds and hundreds of tech companies
there's so many
that pay really well too. And that's
companies that they've never heard of.
Exactly.
They're just like, what is this?
They'll see it on LinkedIn and like, is it a scam, and scroll past the type of thing. And they want to apply for Apple, Google, Amazon. And I'm like, there's so many other things. Yeah. And if you're trying to get your first tech job, you should be looking outside of the big tech companies. Yes. They're not the only things that, are available to you. But outside of that, I think that it's important to really, figure out what your interests are that aren't necessarily directly correlated to tech, but just like in general. Yeah. So like me, I just really like the financial side of things. I think the movement of money is cool. Yeah, it is. So I kind of got into it that way. So I'm like, okay, if you're interested in, you can be interested in city and regional planning, something like that. There are technical people who work in city and regional planning, the project managers, technical project managers who work in that field. And so, in education, like I actually spoke to someone the other day in a consultation. She's been a teacher and now she wants to transition into tech. Yeah. And she wants to do project management. And so she's immediately like, yeah, I want to I want to work at like Apple and like Google or something like that. And I'm like, wow, yeah, that's great. Like I commend you for big dreams. Like it's definitely attainable. Like, get some connections and, that's definitely something that could happen. But you've been in education forever. Obviously, that's where your interest lies. There are project managers that work in education. So it's like, and they get paid a lot. And I sat there and I'm screen sharing with her and I'm like, do you not see this job? It's paying $125K for a project manager at a school district. Like,
I wonder if the reason why people fall into this realm, obviously some people fall into the realm because they think the only tech companies that exist are these big tech companies. Yeah. And they think the only way you're going to make a lot of money is if you're at those companies, which more than often than not is probably the opposite. But I wonder if it's also kind of similar to, so like how, okay, in our community, maybe in the last 10, 15 years, like there's been this whole boom of everyone wants to be a realtor. Everyone wants to be a realtor, which is cool. Yeah. But it's like everyone's thinking like, oh, this is the way, being a realtor, this is the way, and then also there's this boom in our community where everyone thinks like, oh, you have to be an entrepreneur. That's the real way to only through being an entrepreneur. And it's like, yo, the median income for entrepreneurs is $70,000 and they work 60 hours a week. That's the median income for entrepreneurs. Now, mind you, entrepreneurship is dope. I'm all here for it. Nevertheless, it's like thinking that, oh, that's just everyone needs to do that. That's the thing that you just have to do. So I wonder if, because the reason why many people, I can't say most, but many people want to do certain jobs is because it's sexy. Because, oh, real estate is sexy. You know, you see people in these
looks
suits.
good.
They're inside of these big houses that they couldn't afford themselves. They're inside these big houses wearing these nice suits, looking really good. And so it just looks sexy. And I wonder if that's the same thing in terms of people wanting to work at certain tech companies, that it's sexy to say, ooh, I work.
It is.
Cool.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, go ahead.
That's
go
exactly
ahead.
what I mean, because like we kind of alluded to earlier, everybody's on TikTok all day. How many tech influencers do you know that work at these companies? More than half of them that I know, if not all of them, except for me, work at one of these big tech companies. And people are infatuated with it. Like, that's why they get the following. People are infatuated by the fact that, like, you have this nice apartment, floor to ceiling windows, like, nice lifestyle, always traveling. You're in Google's office. It's so cute. Like, wow, I want to do it too.
Yeah.
They're infatuated with it. It's sexy to them. And so they decide that they should go into tech based off of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely the same. It's a fad for sure.
And it's why, you go to tech events, different networking events, and one of the things that we see is how there could be 10 different recruiters, of course, tech recruiters, and they're recruiting for a variety of different companies. And you see this time and time again, where there'll be one recruiter that's there for Google, one recruiter is there for Amazon, and then you see a bunch of tech companies that most people, the general public, don't know about. It could be 5,000 people at that event. The line for the Google and Amazon recruiters will be dumb long. And the other tech recruiters, it'll be like tumbleweeds. And it's like, y'all do not realize that it's much better to go to it's like so many Google, and no shades in any recruiters. I got a lot of friends that are recruiters in different companies, but it's like they're celebrities off the back of the company, and people are just hoping and wishing, man, that they could hire me on at their company, and not realize, like, man, you're so caught up on the sexiness of that company. You're not really thinking about your career. You're just thinking about how cool it'll look to say, I work at this particular company.
Right. And that was definitely me too when I first started, like it became solid in my mind, like I want to go into tech. That was definitely me too. Like,
and I do want to be like, not like Cap, like I definitely was thinking like, oh yeah, but what changed it for you?
The realization that was not all that was there, and then also I got tired of trying to like beg for a job at one of these companies, always trying to ask for a referral, applying for jobs all day, every day. And at some point you're like, it's not worth it, because there's so many other opportunities out there. Like, it's crazy because the job that I interviewed for a job at Google as a software developer, and I am not interested in coding at all. And I was dumb enough to actually sit there like, dang, I should do this though. Like, I should do it because I want to work at Google. And this was a couple months ago. And then literally I was bad. I was terrible for this. But like 2 days before the interview, I was like, I'm actually not interested in this. If you have any project manager roles, please let me know. And of course, that was the end of that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, but you weren't terrible for that. You stuck to like your truth.
Yeah, I was like, no, I know this sounds good. Like, that's like, it's really, Google's a great company, especially now having one of their buildings in Atlanta. Everybody's becoming obsessed with trying to get a job at Google and Microsoft because they see it now. Yeah, and they know it's an actual opportunity for them. But I would say like, I almost got myself into something I was gonna hate just because I thought it was cute. Yeah, and I would have hated myself down the line for that. Like,
well, good thing you didn't end up doing that, and that you kind of came back to yourself.